Good morning. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Terminal District. My name is Tom Salerno. Today we're going to do part 3 in backdrops. Some of the techniques that I use in mounting a backdrop. We alluded to it in part 2. If you didn't get a chance to see it there, I'm going to complete that with part 3. As you can see, I have this out on my lanai, and this is a picture of a cement plant. I'm going to be using it on my layout, which portrays Western Pennsylvania. But this cement plant is actually from Wildwood, Florida. But it can be used anywhere on any layout because it's very universal. It's Ash Grove in Wildwood, a very impressive cement facility down here. But anyway, one of the things I alluded to in part 2, was actually bringing the scene of the actual industry, giving it a little more depth. And what I did, if you can get right back in here and see it, there you go. You can see some of the shadowing, okay? And that, I just took a little bit of poster putty, rolled it up into a little ball, and then very gently set my scene for the plant right on it, and it's up off of the back of the backing, which is the sky. And I use a lot of standard sky for my layout. A lot of people do the same thing. They may paint a wall. I do mine with I have a sky. Actually, the sky setting, believe it or not, this is actually from the scene that the day that I actually photographed it. I cut the building out, and then I just brought it out, like I said, mounted it so you can actually see it. And then of course there's some of the trees that I'm working on in the background. But lighting has a big part to play in this. So as your layout, and you're seeing it as the sun's starting to come up in the back, you're seeing a little bit of shadowing, and that's the result of the sun. And of course, that shadowing takes place on your layout as well, because your lights, however you light your layout, is going to affect how you actually see it. So it's one of the things I wanted to show you. I'm going to get back in the studio and we'll mention a couple other things. This is one way you can actually use what I call a centerpiece layout for a backdrop. See here on my Pittsburgh Terminal Railroad, I've got some cement hoppers, some equipment working in the background. And that's not even, this is just I just set it out real quick. It's not set up with a presentation for a specific layout. This is going to get moved around quite a bit, but it gives you an idea. Look, back there, that's the rest of the layout. But when you get down in here, and then you're taking having a train roll by, the plant's going to be in the background. Now, if you want to focus a little more on the plant back there, you can notice the depth perception that comes into play. And that's simply by utilizing that little technique. Okay, I like to do use a lot of natural material in my presentations and layout. And looks like some logs, right? We do some logging, a little bit of grass, some of the rocks that I actually made. But anyway, put this all together, and then you can utilize a very small space and make good use out of it simply by using a technique like this. So we pull back a little bit. You see how you can use that? Now, you'll notice on some of the great layouts you see online, they use a much larger, like for example, when you're going around, let me give you an idea here. If you're going around a circle such as this, right, then what they're going to do is they're going to set up one large backdrop right down the middle, like right past that yellow building in the middle. All right, and it's set it up somewhere like along where I'm at. And then what that does is gives you the illusion of elongation of the railroad. So say coming around here, you'd see one scene, you roll around, coming around here. And then you see another scene, which I can do. Nice part about that, I could actually mount something on the back and you get a totally different look from this angle. Okay, it's one way of making a small space into a much larger space. Okay, so get very creative with it. So, and then you can see some of my other backdrops along here. And notice the sky, it's the same. It's all the same. I call it, that's my sky photo. I believe I call it Sky 8. So this is a sky that I took in, believe it or not, right here in Central Florida one day. And I photographed, it looked great, photographed it, and made replicas of it. So of course you're going to see some seam lines like right in there. Okay. But when you pull back from a long distance, you basically can't tell. Okay. It just depends on how you do what you do. Okay. And there's another one. Here's a coal mine. Now this one is not enhanced just yet. I'll probably pull that off, use the same technique for my coal mine. That's Consol Energy in Graysville, Pennsylvania. There's one from a job site up in Western Pennsylvania. Anthony Steele was kind to send me a photo of it. You see a crane working there. Very similar to the crane I have right over here, right? But, you know, sometimes you get lucky with some of these things. Get some great photos, make good use of it. This scene, which we're going to have to pull out as well, is a scrapyard. You probably are not going to know where this scrapyard is located because it's not in the United States. Matter of fact, I'll tell you exactly where it's at. That scrapyard is in central Italy, somewhere between Naples and Rome. But I took it off the train, was lucky to get it without it being blurred. And yeah, that's what they actually do down there. And by the way, it was up against another hillside, which I cut out and used the hillside because it's very, very reminiscent of what we might see in Western Pennsylvania. This is how I do some of my backdrops. Another thing you may want to do is grab some old buildings like this. This turned out very, very well. And all I did is paste that right over the top of what's behind it is some foliage, which I mounted. I use the word paste, it's really mounting, okay, sorry. And then that is mounted on top of the sky, my Sky 8. So, and that's what we get for an effect. And this can be trimmed. It's not gonna always stay the same. It's not gonna be stagnant. The beauty of doing these overlays, you can cut some of these areas out. So I may want to get right into that foliage, cut some of that darker out and just leave the brighter stuff, the brighter foliage in place. See along here? Same thing for Knopf's Mill. Anybody know Western Pennsylvania will know where Knopf's Mill is at. It's up in Harmony, PA, up near Zelienople. I snaked that off the internet. Went down to Street View, which is another great thing to do for getting great videos, or excuse me, great photos, is use Street View. Snap the photo, crop it, make sure it's positioned right. You want to try to get, here's a hillside. That's probably going to change as well on my layout. Here's another one I got off the internet. Phenomenal photo. I call it a gristmill, something like that. Anyway, it may not even be a gristmill, but it's what I termed it for my photo. Okay, and I cropped it, pulled it off, and I reset it. Got an excavator working here to see how the effect here. Stream. We're gonna do some line work. Okay, and then it's the only one I have of my. Or actually, I used Skyline 8, but it's kind of a lake effect. Did on my own. It's my own painting. Underneath it, you can see it right down in there. Actually, there's part of what it used to be. But put the sky down. The bottom part is my own hand painting. I'm not a Michelangelo, no. But anyway, some of the scenes you can set up. Getting a little different here. Let me slide around over to this side. Okay. Came in through the Allegheny Valley into the Ohio Valley, believe it or not. And same Skyline 8. But then I had to do a transition because coming up on this tunnel, as you can see right here, it's still under construction. And I need to transition. So I got pretty lucky. My friend Anthony provided me a building down in Mon Valley, and I use it, I call it a maintenance facility. It's one of the photos I saved, maintenance facility. And then on the internet, someone did a screenshot. I cropped it. It was not copyrighted. I don't like to use anybody's copyrighted material. But it served as a great transition piece. You put little trees in there, you won't know the difference. And it gives you a different scene. So, and you can see this is raised off a little bit. I'm going to bring that out a little bit more with that technique. Okay. But getting back to the skyline, I needed a transition piece because when you get up in here, get the city skyline. So the view eventually will be down nice and low, and then you can see the skyline in the background. And see how we did that. Of course, that's Pittsburgh, Oakland. And again, get close. I'll pull that off. I'll pull that out a little bit. A little bit over here, same for the PPG building. And then we have other views of the city as well along the line. Of course, you see the sun coming through, and look what happens, shadowing. And actually, from this video, you would actually think the sun is actually coming up. But okay, another photo that Anthony did for me. This is a ferry that's going from Pittsburgh North Side over to Bruno Island. Okay, I need to have that in my photo. It's just a great, great photo that he provided for me. All right, we're going to talk about something else here in a minute. All right, something very interesting that I find with backdrops. You don't always know where these backdrops are taken. I've seen some backdrops. I can't remember specifically which site I saw it on. I believe it was like something about the Somerset Railroad. I should probably reference it before I mention it, but very impressive, just very impressive layout that the gentleman created. But I noticed the backdrop, and I asked him, well, so where did you get that backdrop? He said he purchased it online, blah, blah. I'm like, you know, my house is up on that hillside that one of the first homes that I owned in Etna, Pennsylvania. And literally I could see where my house was. So I noticed that, but of course he's using it in the sense of, I believe, central or northern, central Jersey somewhere. The point is this. When you do a layout, some of the layouts can be made in such a way that it's geographically, what I call geographically correct. In other words, you're moving from point A to point B. It's the proper town next to the next town, which is proper, which is next to the next countryside, which is proper, and all the way through. Well, when you have a small layout, sometimes it's impossible to do that. So to give you an idea, I would defy anybody to tell me where some of these photos are taken, because each one of these panels, yeah, there's Harmerville, and then suddenly you are question mark. If anybody knows where these are at, let me know. I'm going to wrap up this video real quick. Again, these are out of sequence, if geographically speaking. But anybody, let me know. You can always reach me at Pittsburgh Terminal District. And online, you can DM me at PghTermDist. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And thanks for watching this latest update on 3. We might have a video on 4 on it, but for now, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. And subscribe, please. Please subscribe.